Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus Mame review. Today we're going to be taking a look at Primal Rage 2, which is actually unreleased. It would have been released in 1996 had it actually got a release date. Now, the good thing about this is, as of this recording, this game cannot be played in the regular version of Mame. It doesn't work. You need to use a special version called Mame4Rage2. You can see several different characters here. And the weird part is how this game works. As opposed to the original Primal Rage, where you are a dinosaur or a gorilla or basically some kind of beast all the time. The way that this game works is you're a human character, but you can transform into like a beast and do like your ultimate combo thing. And the way that is performed is when your meter's flashing on the bottom of the screen, you press all three punch or all three kick at the same time, because this uses a 6-button layout like Street Fighter would. So they kind of made it easy. I don't know if like that's how it would have been when the game was released, or if it was just kind of oversimplified because this is still kind of like a prototype and it's not finished. And now my only guess is I don't know how to do, like when he goes do it, it must be some sort of like fatality move he's asking you to do. Because I don't know how to do those. I know I definitely show off the combo moves at some point in this gameplay. Oh, and there goes the AI doing it. You see he turned into that abominable snowman gorilla type guy. And basically, in your regular characters, that's the extent of seeing the original Primal Rage characters. After you defeat all the regular characters, you actually have to face like kind of reversed characters where there's my like combo thing, but unfortunately I was kind of too far away from him, so yeah, it kind of didn't hit him at all. But what I was saying is, after facing all the human characters, you face like the reverse characters who are the beast characters, and then when they actually do their super combos, they turn into the human characters doing a combo, which doesn't really make any sense. And then after that, there's a boss character who you'll see later in this gameplay. But what I was basically trying to do when I was doing that like fatality move in a lot of things is I was trying to like just press a lot of buttons and maybe get some sort of crazy combo. And definitely one big thing I have to say is this game really reminds me of like the likes of Killer Instinct or Vicious Circle. It just has that kind of a style of characters, and of course tons of blood. And I don't know if you noticed it, but when the actual combos happen, the actual character name at the top of the screen will change. So now his says Chaos, and then it goes back to Shank. But yeah, that's one thing to take notice of. And as I said, after you face the regular human characters, you'll face the reverse dinosaur characters who turn into human characters as their combo. But a lot of the, like, Wikipedia, for instance, I know has this wrong, saying this ran on Atari GT system, which is actually what the original Primal Rage ran on. This game was actually based off of like a PlayStation ZN-based setup, but from what I understand, it used like a lot of custom PC MCIA cards and stuff, and all kinds of random stuff, and that's one of the big reasons why this game's been so hard to emulate. Now, in order to play this game, you need to have the Primal Rage 2 actual game image, which is the I think it's like Primal Rage primalrage2.zip and then primrag2.chd. And of course, the chd needs to be in a folder of that name unzipped. And you also need one more file, which when I first tried to run this, I didn't realize this. You need atpsx.zip, which is actually the BIOS that this game runs on. And that, of course, just goes in the ROMs folder with the Primal Rage ROM zip. And now, by 1995, Atari had begun production of Primal Rage's sequel, simply titled Primal Rage 2. This is just directly from the history.dat. The game, however, was never released, even though a test arcade cabinet briefly appeared playable at Golfland Arcade in Sunnyvale, California. A dragon-like bot, which was rumored to be implemented in a future release of the original Primal Rage, was the main antagonist. Though the game never came to be, the story was later adapted into a novel called Primal Rage: The Avatars, which one of these days I'm gonna have to read that. The game was to feature new characters that took on the form of humans that were called avatars. Another prehistoric fighter which took the form of a Simolden named Silverfang, originally called Sabretooth. He has been around as long as the other gods have, but he would have never fought for any land. Was also planned to appear in the game as well. A boss monster known as Necroson, which appears to be a living dragon skeleton, which was originally planned for the original game, was promised to appear. The original characters were going to remain as well. Much anticipation centered around the upcoming game. Unfortunately, it wasn't the same for the production. The game didn't get very far in production, and Atari felt that the game wouldn't generate enough sales. They later announced the cancellation, though not many people knew about it. After that, Primal Rage's popularity died down. A supposedly finished machine of this was shown at California Extreme 2001 show. The machine had the original board and most of the original art. And I know, not too long ago, Galloping Ghost Arcade actually had a board of this game running at their arcade, and you could actually, like, play it running on its real hardware. And now, as I said, in order to get this game to run, you can't run this on any normal Mame build at the time of making this video. I captured this footage on February 25th of 2017, and I'm actually, like, putting this whole thing together a couple days later. If you're watching this, like, years and years in the future, there's always a chance that the ability to play this game has been integrated into Mame, and now, of course, it could be just, like, clicking on any game. Although, it's one of those many things. If they used any kind of hacks or stuff, this may never get it integrated into Mame, because the biggest thing about Mame is they're going for accuracy. They're not going for, just getting stuff to work through the crazy means, because I can remember, like, when certain other emulations would, like, hack to get a game to work, and, everyone's like, why doesn't it work in Mame? And they'd be like, because they use some kind of cheat, some kind of hacked ROMs in order to, get this game working, so, we want to get it working the real way. And then it's like, later on it gets working in Mame, but through, like, quote-unquote legit means. So, for all we know, it might be, like, long down the road till the real version of Mame actually gets this. But for now, I will link in the actual description to this video the website that has the emulator that runs this. Of course, to find the ROMs, as I said, the zip file for the game, the CHD for the game, and the atpsx.zip, just look the normal places you would find Mame ROMs, and you should be able to find it. As I'm not going to give any ROM locations here, as honestly, simple Google search, you'll find it with no problem. But I could say, of what I've played in this is what you're seeing on your screen right now is my second time ever playing this game. And combos actually work pretty well. It kind of has, like, a feeling like a fusion of, like, Street Fighter meets, like, Killer Instinct, maybe a little Mortal Kombat thrown in there. But, like, for instance, I would have to easily say that the combos flow a little bit better than, like, early Street Fighter games, since they really didn't have much of a combo system except for, like, 2 hits kind of strung together, which, if you didn't know, was actually a bug in the original Street Fighter 2, but it later became a feature. Now, that last fight that you saw me fight against the guy with the axe there was the first fight that I actually ended up losing quite a few times. And strangely enough, the one thing I discovered, of course by accident, is, you know how I was mentioning earlier, after the human opponents you'll face those, like, reverse dinosaur characters where they're the dinosaur slash monster characters, and then they do their super combos in and they turn into the humans. Well, after continuing twice, the Talon, who's the character for Kina here, was unlocked. So, like, on my second continue I used, I don't know if this was how it would have been, like, implemented in the final game, or if this was just for the beta, alpha, whatever you want to call this version, this prototype version of the game. But after the second continue, her character was unlocked, so you could play as, like, Talon, who would then turn into Kino when he did his, well, for all I know, maybe that's a her. I was never quite sure about the Primal Rage characters and their genders, but, you could play as that reverse character after the second continue. So maybe it was just put in that way because it would make it easier for testing. I'm guessing that the, like, fatality moves would probably be, like, a complicated bunch of combinations that you'd have to put in that would then make you do that move. But what I was saying is that that guy with the axe, who was a couple characters back, was the first character I lost a bunch to. And then I believe it's not till the first dinosaur character that I start losing, like, on every character. But then again, as you can see, like, later on when I start playing this, I start getting really, really cheap with that whole projectile that she does. So, it was one of those things. As the AI gets a little cheaper, you kind of have to, like, be cheap as well. And I can honestly tell you, a little bit of the AI in this game looks like, in my opinion, it's just a little bit over cheap at this point. Maybe they just hadn't implemented it fully yet. So you just kind of had to outsmart it, more or less. But I definitely have to say, considering this game is unfinished, and it's a game that never came out, kind of like Vicious Circle, as compared to that Atari effort, this one actually I think is pretty good, and if they took the time to actually fully finish this game and flesh it out a little bit more, I think it would have been a great game, and I could really have seen this, like, being a game that would have sold and that would have got people to the arcades, but I guess unfortunately Atari did not think that at the time, that this would be a game that people would want to play. And now, here in Wikipedia's entry, they say the gods then show... Game features new characters of the form of humans that were called avatars, as it said in the other thing. And the plot centered in the years after the gods fought again. It turns out that the meteor that crashed on Earth was actually an egg that hatches a being called, like, Necroson, that dragon I was mentioning earlier. The gods fight it, but their efforts become useless. Necroson then imprisons them in the state of semi-suspended animation, forms minions of his own, and starts to wreak havoc. The gods then choose human avatars for themselves that take on a human form. The avatars fight the minions of Necroson, release the gods from their prison, and battle Necroson. The warriors would be Zhao Ming. I'll let you read this here. that was basically just your introduction to, now you have to face these reverse characters I'd mentioned earlier, who, in their combos, they kind of turn into the human avatars, which, personally, I don't think it makes any sense, like, in the story of things. Like, why would Blizzard here want to turn into, a man when he's so powerful as he is? But what I was saying is, the warriors would be Zhao Ming, which his avatar is Silver Fang, Melissa, avatar is Vertigo, Arik, avatar of Sauron, which is the, which is one of the, like, T-Rex Allosaurus type dinosaurs. Then we have Kina here, whose avatar is Talon, Shank, whose avatar is Chaos, Shinjin, whose avatar is Diablo, Kaze, whose avatar is Blizzard, and Tor, whose avatar is Armadon. And I could remember I'd always think that was hilarious when I'd play Primal Rage on Sega Genesis. You'd see all these like little follower guys in the background, and you would be fighting, and somehow you kicking would make them fly like into the air. And I have to honestly tell you, fighting Blizzard here, that took a while for me to actually do. It's not something that came right away. So, I think it was a good 10 minutes of losing to Blizzard, and then I finally was able to beat him without a problem. But more or less, it's like, the problem is the dinosaur characters here are a bit, like, overpowered, but I guess then again, it was probably made that way so they could get all your quarters. Yeah, and that's how I told you, see, has Armadon turned into Tor when he did his combo, which, in a like a way, you think it's kind of weird. It's like, why would a Tyrannosaur, why would like this like armadillo type Triceratops dinosaur want to turn into a guy with a weapon, considering more or less his whole body is a weapon with his tail and all his spikes? It just doesn't make any sense. It would be like a cheetah turning into Usain Bolt. The cheetah probably could run a lot faster because it's like a really fast cheetah. And for some reason, I have no idea why that picture of a dude with an X over his face like started appearing on the screen. It was something that happened when I was facing that character, and I don't think it happens again. It's probably something that wasn't implemented that like maybe my button combination was doing. And I can remember when I used to play Primal Rage with my sister when I was young, she would always play as Sauron, this dinosaur here, and I would always play as the other dinosaur, the other like T-Rex Allosaurus type dinosaur, which I think was actually called Diablos, but for some reason in this game they changed it to Diablo. But we would always play a lot of matches where we would just be the two like big like T-Rex type dinosaurs to see who was better, and I can remember that always being like a thing I would do back playing the Sega Genesis version of the first game. But as far as like, as I said, as far as Primal Rage 2 goes, this being the sequel to the first game, I think this does fairly well. But when I first had like heard that this was playable, I was thinking, oh, it's gonna be like Bloody Roar. You're gonna be fighting, you're gonna charge a meter up, and then you like permanently turn into the dinosaur and you'll fight the other character. But I was kind of surprised that it was just pressing some buttons and then kind of like doing a quick striker combo a la King of Fighters, where in the one King of Fighters game you'd pick 4 characters. You'd have what's called a striker, and you'd hit a certain combination of buttons. That character would just come in for a quick hit, and then they'd leave. So it was really kind of like not really having 4 characters, but having 3 and like a extra super combo character. And that's one thing with those combo moves that you have to make sure you do. Make sure you're not too far away from the enemy, because the problem is, if you are, it will terribly not hit at all, and you will just waste it, because it's kind of like a super combo in Street Fighter. If you miss it, or if they block it, you've just, like, wasted your meter. And the worst thing was simply, missing. Yeah, there goes a lot of my, cheap projectile. Now, this was kind of the, oh no, he's gonna beat me, I better just start throwing stuff at him, and maybe I can beat him, which, as you can see, I did. What's kind of weird about this game, I don't know if you've seen that several times, but, like, there are some moves that kind of, like, shake the whole screen. And that's, like, not a problem with the capture. That's just how the game runs. Like, a character falls hard on the ground and it kind of shakes the whole video frame. So, it's kind of a really crazy thing. But then again, I've seen other games do stuff like that. And at this point, I was like, oh wow, will I really get through this one and not have to continue once? Which, sure enough, I actually did. This is the only one of the reverse characters, as I tend to call them, that I got through without losing once. And now here's the boss character I'd mentioned earlier. And as it had said in the, and a lot of times when it's saying the verses, it sounds like it's just getting cut off. But I'm guessing it was going to say Necrosan or Necrosan or however they pronounce it. But yeah, I definitely have to say, Primal Rage 2, it's a very fun game that unfortunately just never got to see the light of day. And I could easily see this have been something that would have been popular at the arcades, but at this point we'll just sincerely never know. But thankfully, now since it's emulated in at least a derivative version of Mame at the moment at least, we can all give it a try and see what we think of this game, instead of just having to be like the whole mystery of what Primal Rage 2 would have been, considering it was cancelled. And there was me completely wasting my combo because I was way too far away. But yeah, definitely a fun game. I'd highly recommend you go to the link that I put in the description to get the emulator, grab the 3 files that you need, and give the game a shot. I'm gonna let you enjoy the ending here without me talking too loud. Okay, and this has been another Game Nexus Mame review, and I will see you later. Bye. Finally able to play Primal Rage 2.